Welcome to your daily dose of hope. I'm Phyllis Nichols, and I'm glad you're here. Today, I want to talk a little bit about mind control. We've all heard things like your thoughts matter, what you think about, you bring about, thoughts become things. There's also a quote from Buddha that I've seen that says, what you think, you become, what you feel, you attract, and what you imagine, you create. So you likely know or have some knowledge that thoughts are part of what determines what life's going to be like. Now, this was a hard concept for me to understand the first time I heard it. I was an adult, didn't grow up with parents who were like, teaching mindfulness practices. Somebody, the first time they told me, they were like, you can just change your thoughts. And I was like, what? No, I can't. Like, I'm thinking what I'm thinking. I don't have control over that. Anyway, and the idea that I could just think different thoughts and change my life really felt way out of reach. It seemed impossible to me. I didn't feel like I had a lot of control over my life. I was doing okay. I had a job. I had a boss who was okay. I liked my job all right. I had a clear understanding of what I was supposed to do every day. I had bills to pay. I had things I needed to take care of. I didn't feel like I had a lot of free time or cash. So dreaming about like options or some other version of life honestly just felt out of reach. It felt like something for other people. And then a mentor at work suggested that I change the narrative, like I changed the mental way I thought about a difficult coworker. So instead of telling myself that she was manipulative and unkind, and she really was, I had plenty of evidence. He said, "Okay, you could be right, but instead, why don't you just change that thought into something like her actions don't have anything to do with me, and I don't really have to respond to her comments. I get to pick a different way to act." Now, this didn't feel like a complete lie, so I could actually do it, right? Because he wasn't saying, tell myself, oh, we're best friends, or I really like her, or anything like that. It did change my perspective. And most importantly, it made me see that I was no longer blaming her actions for my feelings. I got to decide things like her actions don't have anything to do with me. And that felt pretty good. And that's when I realized that changing the way that I thought didn't really change her. She was still the same person behaving the same way, but it changed the dynamic and the energy around it for me. And that was pretty cool. Now, when it comes to being hopeful, we get to choose what we think about in the moment. And I'm not talking about painting a happy face when things aren't going as we like. It's about seeing things honestly and then asking, what is the next best step for me in this moment? Or what thoughts would really support me in this moment or with this situation? Sometimes it's as easy as thinking things are not going as planned, but I know I'll be able to manage. Or I want to be hopeful that things will improve and I'm going to look for one tiny way to make that happen. Hope really is a practice. And some days, just like a lot of us, I get lost in that spiral of doom as well. And then eventually I can stop and decide I'm going to think a new thought. Now, my transition thought a lot of times is I'm just going to decide to see this in a new way, right? I'm not trying to change anything else other than my perspective. And that takes a lot of pressure off of having to have it all figured out or come to some sign of solution. I'm just basically telling my brain, like, I'm open to seeing things differently. And that's not like a magic 8-ball kind of thing, but it does help me feel better in the moment. And often for me, that's just the biggest impact of all. So, as Mike Dooley would say, thoughts become things. Choose good ones. This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.